Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I am Riaz Ahmed. So this is my third video. In the first video I gave you a short review of my car, Ford EcoSport, and in my second video I spoke about the cost which was involved in the maintenance, the regular servicing and the parts those were replaced in the car after being driven for 63,000 kilometers. So today what I'm going to talk about is the basics which you need to check in your car time to time. Apart from the servicing that you're doing, these are few things that you can check yourself to make sure that the vehicle is in up and running condition, and any moment there can be a need of going on a highway or a long trip. So before going to any kind of those travels, please make sure that you check these basics which are very much required and which will help you to get a safer and a comfortable drive. So to start with, always look for the instrument cluster, which gives you the indicators as to what is working, what is not working in the car. In most of the scenarios, you will not see the indicators until unless there is any issue going on with the car. But in certain cases, these indicators can help you in understanding what is going wrong. So I will have a separate video explaining each and every indicator, the light that blinks on the instrument cluster. So today what I'm going to talk about specifically is few things that you can check under the hood. And yep, so let's go ahead and let's start. So guys, this is how it looks under the hood. So here you have the engine. Always make sure that you don't touch it after you have driven it for a certain distance, because it'll be quite hot. On the left to the engine you will see a small tank. This holds the fluid. Let me just pause. So this is called engine coolant, which keeps the engine cool when it is running. And always make sure that the level of coolant is not below the minimum mark here. Now as you can see in my car, it will show at minimum, because now it's time for my car to get a service, and once it is done it will again be refilled, and it will be on a normal mark on the tank. But always make sure that you check this. And here there are few things that you need to keep in mind. Coolants are of different types, and depending upon the vehicle and the engine that is being used, the coolants are used, and it also depends on the brand. The major color of coolants that you will notice are this one, yellowish orange, or you can call amber. Then you have green in color. Then you also have something that looks a bit of blue or kind of violet in color. So those are the color differences. Always make sure that you do not mix up these coolants like the one which I have here. You shouldn't be putting some other type of coolant in this, or some people might suggest you to add water. I would recommend not to do that. Always stick to what the vehicle recommendations are, and if you're not sure, go to the service center and get that checked and refilled. Now the next thing that you need to check is this thing, the small tank. Here again you have the markings, max and minimum. My camera might not be doing the justice here. So this is called brake fluid, and as you can see on the cap it is written .4. So there are again different types of brake fluids available. Now again it depends on the vehicle make and the recommendations. So, and in most of the vehicles you'll see .4 being used. So check for the type of liquid which is required in the brake fluid tank and just use that alone. And again, if you're not sure, just get that checked with the service center. Now the next thing is this. As you can see the mark on the cap, it clearly shows that it sprays water, and this is the fluid tank which is used to spray water on your windshield. So the sprinkler which is available on the hood, these two, they are connected to this via this pipe which goes down here underneath, and from here the water is sucked and then sprinkled onto the windshield whenever you want to clean the windshield and when you turn on the wipers. Now another main thing which you need to check, which usually people don't do, is your battery. Now you can't check it yourself, but always make sure that you check it on the connectors. That you'll notice kind of a white color powdered element around this connector in most of the cases when you're not checking the battery for a very long time, or if the battery is being used for a very long time. So check for that, and if that's the condition, go ahead and have it checked with some professional. Then the next thing here is your engine oil. Now always remember, when you have run the vehicle for certain kilometers, and when you try to open the hood, avoid touching any of these parts, because in certain parts you will feel the heat and they're extremely hot. And never ever open the coolant lid as soon as you are done with running the vehicle for a long distance, or checking any of the items that I'm asking you to check right now. So please be careful and let the engine cool down, let everything get settled down, and after maybe 1 or 2 hours you can go ahead and you can check for all these items. But my recommendation is to check these before you get on a ride. Like you park the vehicle at night, and in the morning you're about to get out on a ride. Before getting into that, just make sure that you check all these basics. So now talking about the engine oil, so here is a small dipstick which is available. So as you can see, I might not be able to show you clearly the markings over here, but you can check the color of the oil. It has gone completely black in color, so that means it's high time to get it replaced. So I'm not gonna touch this and just gonna put it back in there. Here it goes. Okay, so those are the basics. So now let's get back into the car. So guys, we are back in the car. So again, I would like to stress on the point that when you have driven the vehicle for certain kilometers, and if you try to check the items which I asked you to check, avoid doing that. It can be dangerous because the engine will be extremely hot, and so the other parts can also create some trouble. So it's always recommended you let the engine cool down, let the car get settled down, and after maybe an hour or 2 hours you can go ahead and you can check for these items. But my preference, and I suggest you guys to have this check before you get on a ride. So guys, please be very careful while you're doing any checks or any sort of checking the components by yourself. So be very cautious and take precautions and avoid any unwanted circumstances. Another main thing which you need to check is your tire pressure. Now the new age vehicles are coming up with tire pressure monitor, uh, but you can visually make out when you compare all the four tires, as well as the spare tire, which usually people miss out. So don't miss on that. Check all the tires including your spare tires if the air pressure is up to the mark. So if you have any air checking station nearby, get that checked. So we also have certain queries with respect to what is the difference between a normal air and a nitrogen. So with my personal experience, I have noticed that nitrogen stays in the tire for a long time compared to the normal air. So if you can get a nitrogen filled up in your tires, then yep, go ahead and do that. And avoid mixing the airs. You might have seen some people will say that it's okay to mix the normal air with nitrogen. Avoid doing so. So if you have nitrogen, go ahead with that. And if you have normal air, go ahead with that. Don't mix these two together. So guys, these are a few basics which you need to keep in mind. And in my next video, I'll walk you through certain other elements that will help you in making sure that the vehicle is running in a proper condition. So it's time for my vehicle to get a service done, which I will get done maybe in a week or two. So I'll get an appointment and I'll take my car and I'll get that done. So post service, I'll also post a video on my overall experience and how the vehicle looks, and what are the things those were replaced, how much the cost was, and all other related information. Thanks again guys for your support. Please subscribe to my channel and like the video if you did after watching my video, on the bell icon as well. Thanks again for all your support, and bye till my next video. Bye bye.